If you're a senior or you care about someone who is a senior, listen up because I'm about to show you how to stop muscle loss instantly. In fact, there is a scientifically proven food that research shows has the ability to boost muscle protein synthesis more than anything else on the planet. And when you eat this on a daily basis, it can help seniors maintain their strength, mobility, and independence. But I'll warn you, most seniors are making one big mistake that's causing them to lose way too much muscle. So make sure you watch until the end of this video so you don't fall into the same trap. You see, after 30, we naturally begin to lose muscle mass due to a condition called sarcopenia. This happens whether you like it or not. In fact, every decade after 30, you can lose between 3 and 8% of your muscle mass. But the biggest problem is that after 60, this process begins to speed up. You can lose 1 to 2% per year starting at age 60, and by age 70, you can lose up to 25% of your muscle mass compared to your peak muscle mass in your 20s. This isn't something you should accept. The problem is that losing muscle can have serious consequences as you get older. The main cause of this is falls, which are caused by weakness, frailty, and a decline in physical function. As you lose muscle mass, you also lose your physical function, which makes you more prone to falling and breaking bones. In fact, studies show that people over 50 who break a hip have a 24% mortality rate within 1 year of the fracture. But aside from the risk of dying, the other problem is that recovering from a broken bone becomes increasingly more difficult as you age. Studies show that it takes an average of 6 months for a senior to recover from a hip fracture and regain their previous functional status. But many seniors never regain their previous function, and they may even require assistance with basic activities of daily living such as walking, dressing, or bathing. The bottom line is that losing muscle doesn't have to be inevitable. And by eating one simple food on a regular basis, you can slow down the effects of aging and preserve your muscle mass. And you won't believe me unless I show you the research. In fact, I'll tell you exactly how much to eat, how often, and which foods are best to eat. But first, let's take a look at the number. 1 food to stop muscle loss. If you guessed protein, you'd be right. Research shows that eating protein is essential for improving body composition and preserving lean muscle mass, especially during aging. In one study, for example, overweight older adults were given either a high-protein diet 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight per day or a standard protein diet 73 grams of protein per day for 12 weeks. At the end of the study, the high-protein group was able to retain more muscle mass while losing more fat compared to the standard protein group. What's interesting, though, is that researchers discovered that it only takes 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal to maximize muscle repair. And when you spread your protein intake evenly throughout the day, it further improves your results. And that's why it's important to include protein with every meal to maximize your results. But there's one thing you need to know about protein. Not all protein sources are created equal. You see, protein is made up of building blocks called amino acids. And out of all the amino acids, there is one amino acid called leucine that has been shown to play a key role in boosting muscle protein synthesis, which is basically the fancy science term for building muscle. Leucine has been proven to activate a process called mTOR, which turns on genes responsible for muscle growth. And when it comes to foods high in leucine, your best options are eggs, Greek yogurt, lentils, salmon, or whey protein. I recommend picking one or a combination of these foods to add to your diet. And I'll explain exactly how much and how often to eat in just a minute. But first, let's go over some additional foods that can help save your muscles. Next, we have lean meats like chicken, turkey, and pork. These are all excellent sources of complete protein, meaning they contain all 9 essential amino acids that your body cannot produce on its own. And according to data, 34% of people over the age of 50 aren't getting enough protein. This includes both men and women, but lean meats aren't the only option for seniors. Plant-based eaters can get plenty of protein from foods like tofu, tempeh, chickpeas, quinoa, edamame, and nuts. These plant-based foods are not only good sources of protein, but they're also high in fiber, vitamins, and minerals. And speaking of healthy fats, did you know that incorporating healthy fats like avocados, nuts, and seeds into your diet can improve muscle health? A recent study showed that older adults who consumed a Mediterranean-style diet full of healthy fats had increased muscle strength and improved physical function. Another nutrient that's vital for muscle health is vitamin D. Our bodies produce vitamin D when exposed to sunlight. But as we age, our skin becomes less efficient at absorbing sunlight, which means that many seniors are deficient in vitamin D. Luckily, there are certain foods that are naturally high in vitamin D, such as fatty fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel. Unfortunately, 66% of people don't eat enough fatty fish. So this could be one reason why 42% of Americans over 50 have vitamin D deficiency. But fortunately, many types of milk are fortified with vitamin D. So drinking vitamin D fortified milk is another easy way to get enough vitamin D. Just make sure you drink low-fat or fat-free milk, since whole milk has been linked to increased risk of cancer and heart disease. So now that you know the best foods for building muscle, let's discuss how much you should eat. Remember, you want to aim for about 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal to maximize muscle repair. So here's a quick list of common foods and how much protein they contain. 1 cup of Greek yogurt has 20 grams of protein. Half a cup of cooked lentils has 18 grams of protein. 3 ounces of grilled chicken breast contains 26 grams of protein. And 1 cup of berries with 1/4 cup almonds has 20 grams of protein. Now, there are countless ways you can combine these foods to come up with delicious meals that will help you gain muscle. For example, you could mix and match foods like chicken, salmon, shrimp, Greek yogurt, apples, cinnamon, oats, almonds, and peanut butter. There's really no shortage of delicious foods that you can use to boost your protein intake. And the great news is that you don't have to follow a special diet to get enough protein. In fact, you can simply add the recommended amount of protein to each meal you currently eat, and it will help you stop muscle loss. Now let's talk about the 3 biggest mistakes seniors make that worsen muscle loss. First is not eating enough protein. According to multiple studies, the majority of seniors aren't getting enough protein, which puts them at a higher risk of muscle loss, weakness, frailty, and falls. Mistake number 2 is relying too much on carbohydrates like bread, pasta, and cereal. Sure, carbs provide your body with energy, but unfortunately, they don't do much to prevent muscle loss. In fact, eating too many carbs without doing any exercise can actually make you gain fat. And finally, mistake number 3 is avoiding strength training. You can get plenty of protein and eat all the right foods, but if you're not lifting weights, you'll miss out on some major benefits. It is well known that resistance training is one of the most effective ways to combat sarcopenia and maintain muscle mass. So if you haven't tried lifting weights, now is the time to start. So remember, your goal is to add 25 to 30 grams of protein to every meal that you eat. And if you do like a free meal plan that reveals exactly how much protein you should eat every day, just comment the word protein below. Also, don't forget to hit the like button, because if you're benefiting from any of my content, I'd love to hear about your success story. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.